to Thrive at 9 Wellness Dialogues, the student wellness radio show all about college wellness on campus. I'm your host today, Dr. Stacy Haynes, with our co-host,
Dr. Shaw. Good morning, Raptorville. It is time to get up and get out. So how was your weekend?
Quiet.
I was a little bit depressed. I'm not going to lie.
What happened? Why were we depressed this
Mike
weekend?
Tyson
showed
up at 60, right?
Yeah.
And my man got $20 million.
I am not mad.
But I'm not going to lie. He didn't look like Mike Tyson in the 80s.
Yeah.
And let me tell you something. For a person who is my age, which I'm probably going to tell everyone, I am 43, right?
Yeah.
A 43-year-old who's active.
He's active.
Yes, like I go out there and I box and you know I try to fight every once in a while.
Yeah.
My last fight didn't go too well. But there's always was this thing like, all right, you know, my people that I look up to can still do it.
They can still do it. Yeah.
And then I realized, no, you can't do it.
They can't.
And it was very humbling. So that's what I went through this weekend.
That's what you went through this weekend. Well, I can honestly say I did not watch the fight. I am going to watch it, though. You know, obviously, I tend to not stay up too late, although I love boxing. But, you know, it's okay that I know the results of it. But I still want to watch it just because, I mean, in some ways, I don't see it as boxing, though. Like, I'm a classic boxing fan. You know, I want a good match. I don't want the
girls' match was really good.
I heard that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you can't. Don't fade the Jake Paul effect, so to speak.
Hey, listen, I'm not hating on anybody. Right, 20 million is not something small to bark at. So, all right, folks, if you are new to us, we are the Student Wellness Center here at Rutgers Camden, and we provide support for students' well-being. We like to talk about things: mental health, physical, social, your emotional well-being, all about our programs and services that we have on campus. This week, we are going to be talking about our International Week and programming that's going to be going on for our international students. But before we get there, there is a lot going on, even for the Student Wellness Center this week. And I always have to kind of give our plug on the wellness activities that are going on. Tonight, actually, there will be an Active Minds Coffee House. And I'm pretty excited about this because it involves coffee, mental health, talent. So if you have some talent, some poetry, some reading, some music, some fun things, they've got some pretty cool prizes I saw on Instagram, and so that will be fun for students. Also, tomorrow during free period, we have our Student Wellness Advisory Board, so folks that would like to get involved in making a difference with wellness on campus. I highly recommend that you come out and be a part of that tomorrow during free period. The Raptors Nest, they have a sandwich making event. I personally cannot go because they make sandwiches that I think I'm allergic to, but they do have a sandwich making event tomorrow from 5 to 7, and so that will be here in the campus center. That will be over in the Raptors Nest, and so that will be helping to feed individuals. So if you'd like to come, be a part of that and volunteer, we would love to have you. As well as our STI clinic, Dr. Shaw on the medical side. So we do have that, again, every week, every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday, like clockwork.
Confidential.
Please, definitely confidential. Please come by. You know, like I said, there's nothing more attractive than a clean set of papers. So, you know, go in, get your papers, make sure it's clean, and, you know, enjoy your life.
It is boo up season, so that is sure.
Yes, boo loving. It is cold.
The Christmas movies are on. The romance has started.
There it is, man.
Listen, we got to make sure we're good.
You find yourself a boo, you can definitely reduce some of that electric bill. I don't think you guys care about electric bill
right now. No, I don't think they do. They don't pay it.
That heating bill, man.
So speaking of Friendsgiving, the law school tomorrow as well during their free period, 12:10 to 1 p.m. We'll have a Friendsgiving, and so you can come, make bracelets, have food, lunch will be provided, meet new students, just have an opportunity to let go some of that stress that you're feeling as a law student. So that is happening in our law building. And then on Thursday, I don't know about you guys, but I need this workshop. It is a self-care workshop. I'm all about it at this point in the semester. We got 4 weeks left. I'm tired. I'm ready for it to be over. But Wayne Frazier, one of our practicum trainee students, will be leading that. And I love it because it's students leading students. And so Wayne will be sharing some self-care tips, some strategies, things to help you take care of yourself. And we'll have some fun wellness swag as always for that event. And so again, just a busy week when it comes to student wellness here on campus, but we are excited to be sharing those things with you.
I'm not gonna lie to you. When you said Wayne, I was like, "Oh no, please don't let it be short." I'm like, "You don't want self-care from me." I walk around as ashy as it come. I just step out the shower and go.
Goodness. I love it. Well, no, we were not talking about you, Dr. Shaw.
Yeah,
so you've been released of the self-care promotion duty for that matter. One thing that's pretty exciting though this week, and Dr. Shaw, you and I have something in common. We both married internationally.
Oh.
Yeah. So
yeah.
we're so as we think about it, nope, I have that's his copy that he won't look at. Here's my copy actually. Here, I'm going to give you this copy back. There we go.
I would say it's pretty interesting.
Papers.
There's some interesting stuff with that.
I was just going to say, well, first of all, hold on. Let's welcome our guests. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Ojabo Agbo AJ. I am a second year student of the Masters of Science in Data Science program here at Rutgers University, Camden.
And if it wasn't for Ojabo, I would not even be sitting in this chair because I was a guest on your show,
yes.
Which got me super excited about, wow, first of all, we had a radio station and then to actually do programming here on campus.
That's awesome,
I think it's cool being on the guest side today.
Yes.
Less pressure, right?
Yeah, less pressure, yeah. You don't have to prepare so much. You just come, hit it, and you're done.
See? Prepare. You hear that? You hear that, Dr. Shaw?
Hey, man.
See? Listen, a fellow co-host.
I'm not gonna lie, man, because when I was the A mic, it went left.
Oh, it was stressful.
It went real left.
Well, we go left or right. We just go where the wind blows sometimes. It's all good. It's all good. So this week, we have a lot of activities on campus celebrating International Week. And I just want to give a huge shout out to Dean Atkins and the Chancellor for the international luncheon they had a couple weeks ago. That was really amazing.
Yeah.
Naman, all the students that put that together. That program, I think, really spoke to students ahead of this celebration week to say, you're here, we love you, we care for you. Even just having food. Oh my gosh, the food was so good. The food was so good. Okay. I'm a somewhat foodie, but it was so good. And I think, again, it just speaks volumes to us recognizing the international student population here on our campus, right? And how important that is. Ojo, tell me a little bit about your decision to come here, your process. What was that like as an international student, and why did you choose Rutgers Camden?
I think I was at a point in my career. So just a backstory. I'd finished undergrad quite a long while ago, and I'd been working for a couple of years. I'd gone for my MBA while working, so I did it while I was also working. And because of the role I was playing in the organization I was working, which had to do business intelligence, I started learning and reading stuff about I always call it data on steroids, right? What decision making and all of those things that have to do with data. How can it be done very fast and all of that? So the whole thing started leading towards machine learning, data science. I was learning about all of those things. So I think I was at a point in my career where I'm like, okay, this is where I now want my focus to be. And this is where I want my focus to be. But at the same time, as I always say, at every point in time, you're different parts, right? So I was also in a relationship, right? And I was thinking about settling, getting married, and all of those things like that. And my fiance, as at that time, was about leaving Nigeria. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Long story made short. She leaves Nigeria, somehow comes to the US, starts planning to come to Rutgers Camden. And then I applied I wanted to come to Rutgers Camden, try to understand if they had stuff that aligned with my new pursuits and all of those things. So it was just kind of a perfect decision for me coming here. So yes,
for love.
Yes.
Listen, the things we do for love.
Yes,
I love it. Okay, anyway.
I think it's kind of perfect because it's not like you have to lose one of them. You're trying to pursue stuff with your career and you're also trying to pursue love. And then Rutgers Camden just makes that the two of them fit. So.
Come together.
Yes, that's
So students.
Yay, Rutgers Camden. Hey, man. Let's give
Not
it a
only will
clap.
we give you your education, but we will keep your romance going. So I love it. And talk to me a little bit, because that's not an easy decision to make. And I know many of our international students, we don't often think about the decisions you have to make, like leaving your home, leaving your family. Tell us a little bit maybe about what was kind of maybe some of the hardest decisions in that leaving, even though, again, your love of your life is here, but...
So while working, I had already started a consulting company, and I think we're going like 3 years in already. Wow. And my decision to start applying and all of those things started at the beginning of the year. So it was funny because you've made plans of this is what we're supposed to do this year and all of those things. And then at the end of January into February, you're like, I need to start applying for my master's program in a different. So it was different things. My team was not a very large team. I think there were about 6 of us there. So the year before, which was 2020, I had consciously transitioned us into like working remotely, except we needed to be like on client site. So it was, on one hand, it was also difficult. People who have been part of your life for this short period of time, letting, hey guys, looks like in the next couple of months we're not going to be existing anymore for now, and all of those things. So that was a hard decision. And also like leaving family, right, that was also a very, very very hard decision. Leaving parents, leaving sisters, leaving friends that you've known all your life, and also like traveling from one country to another, traveling to the US. It's also a big, you have to you have to acknowledge that it comes with a huge financial commitment. And like, I don't get to say it so much. I don't get to say it out there, but like I had to sell my property.
Wow.
To
be here,
to be able to come to. So those are just some crazy, I call them crazy decisions you make, and all for some of the things that you think the world holds for you out there.
See, and that's where I like get emotional, because even like Mercy, I mean, leaving a 2-year-old and a 10-year-old and leaving kids and selling properties. I mean, what we sometimes take, I would say, for granted in getting a graduate education. I mean, the sacrifices that people have to make, like yourself, it's huge. And then, right, to come here. So I have a question about being here. What surprised you the most being here? I know what Naman's answer would be.
We were surprised to see the White House.
The White House.
So
I thought that was hilarious. So we have to give people context. So Naman was asked that question in an event and said that the White House was still standing because in so many movies you see it blown up. It's like the first thing that the aliens come after, like the enemies come after. I love that answer though, Naman. It was great. I love it. But for you, what was maybe, I guess, the most surprising thing, or something that kind of was like, oh, I didn't know that's how it would be there?
So back in Nigeria, I've lived like in the 4 different, I've lived in the north, the south, east, west, maybe for school, for work, or life, and all of those things. So to some extent, I'm used to having or experiencing cultural change, cultural shock, and cultural changes and all. And I've watched a lot of American movies, even though I know that the movies do not represent all of everything that America is, the United States is. But coming here, I would call it more of a shock. I would call it more of a the things I had seen and now believed. Right, I was like seeing them before my eyes. Okay, maybe sort of like a shock. I don't know, but like, we dress differently in Nigeria.
Yes.
Yeah. So coming here, I'm like, okay, like this is different.
Jeans.
Yeah, like this is different, and all of those things. So, and I'm young, but I'm not so young, right? I'm not Gen Z, so in my head I'm
We're
like,
telling her age today. I love it.
let's say if it was my sisters or guys that I know, I'm like, why are you dressed like that? Are you in Nigeria? That like I'll be able to say that kind of stuff. So it was different. It was different coming here, and I'm like, okay, respect people's culture. Obviously, this is how people are brought up. This is what's permissible in this environment, and all of those things. So I think that's the thing that was.
It's funny. I went to Nigeria, and I was with a group that was presenting, and it's interesting because nobody told me about dress for women, right? And so that was something that if I had to do all over again, even going to Nigeria, I probably would have learned a little bit more about, right, what should I wear, and what would be seen respectful and appropriate, like work attire and presentation attire.
What part of Nigeria was that?
I was in Lagos.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
I was in Lagos. So,
Oh,
I mean,
that's-
it's pretty modern.
it's
Fashion forward.
Yeah.
But right. But again, the things that people don't share with you when you are traveling and when you're going places internationally. So besides what I guess the difference is here, what about like food? Have you been able to, because I know this is a conversation I have a lot of times with international students here about like the adjustment.
Yeah. So I think so. This is something I do. Like I said, I've lived in like different parts of Nigeria. When I go to a new place, I want to try what they have. So I remember when we had the orientation. I think when the fall semester started in 2023, there were like different events and all of that. So I just used to go to them and eat the stuff. And I'm like, what's the name of this?
Yeah.
I know I won't remember what it is. Just give me. I'll eat. And so that was sort of like my selection process. What will I like and what will I not really like? And at the end of the day, I didn't really like lots of them. So I went back to like trying to eat my Nigerian food, make sure that I went to the, even though it's like more expensive and all of that, but like eating what I was already used to, and then giving allowance to keep testing. Let's say I go for a Thanksgiving event. Oh, this is apple pie or something.
Green bean casserole, right?
Let me try that. This is okay. Let me just try it and stuff. So it's different, but I think I still fall back to eating what I was brought up with. Yeah.
So, Dr. Shaw, I'm going to bring you into this conversation because you are married to someone from another country, similar to what my experience have been in marriage, right? Married to someone from a different country. So we had lots of different foods, right? So I'm very aware of even like what home cooking, right, looks like. When you think about that piece for you, do you eat Filipino food? Like, does your wife cook?
Yeah. All right. Right now, like I'm pretty simple. It's pretty much chicken.
That's right.
And
She's got a simple palate.
and potatoes for the most part. So that's what she cooks for me. But there's definitely she cooks 2 separate meals for herself and her son. Yeah.
Because I think that's a big part, even though we're here in America, like keeping food is such a big part of culture, right? And just even sharing that and passing that on, because you've got littles, mine are bigger. But my daughter, for example, she's a first year college student, away from home at college, and that's one of her biggest complaints. I mean, this is a kid that grew up on curry and curry everything and different spices, and she's like, Mom, the food here, I'm like, it's standard food. It's fine, But even that idea of like being able to have access to things that you're accustomed to, because that's part of our well-being. We think about food giving us energy, and so many students I know in speaking with them are struggling with the food here in the dining. And again, not that the dining hall food is not good. It's just not what we're used to. It's not what we're accustomed to. When you've done everything from scratch, right? That's a big piece too, to say, hey, this is all fresh stuff that we go and pick and go to the produce store and gather, and that's how we cook. So it is a big difference. How has living been here? Roommate situations, like living in the dorms, was that anything that you thought of how it would be being here in college?
That was also kind of like the shift that I had to make. Like I'd been living alone for about 4 years. Yeah. And then coming to the US, you know that okay, that's going to be quite expensive trying to live alone, and also you have to live with a roommate. So I don't stay in the dorm. I stay like off campus. You have to stay with your roommate. But I think it was also good because my roommate is also Nigerian, and we had been speaking before we even got to Rutgers Camden. So I think nothing bad on that. I think it's really good. Yeah,
that's been good. Yeah. So I know Nauman and I, we've had conversations, and we've all had conversations around just our experiences growing up, right? And one of the things that we're looking here from a campus perspective is just students and what we call their adverse childhood experiences or trauma, but then also just the cultural pressures, right? When you think about in different cultures, there's a pressure towards education. There's a push. I think here, even from and you can correct me if this is wrong, but I think I've heard that, like, for example, Nigerians are one of the most educated group of minorities here in the U.S., right, from a degree perspective, like as far as graduate degrees and things like that. Is there a pressure to like continue your education even from a family perspective? Which was like, I'm going to say this carefully. Mom and Dad might be watching. Say this carefully.
So I think how I'll say that is, like I said, so after my first degree, initially there was the whole thing about like, it would be great for you to like go for a master's, right? There's a funny thing we say in Nigeria that nowadays the master's is now the bachelor's. That's absolutely that's the starting point, right? So, but I wanted to work first, and I think when I decided, okay, this was time for me to do a second, like I said, I did an MBA. So by the time I decided this was the time I wanted to do a second degree, it was my decision. I wasn't with my parents. I wasn't under any form of pressure at all. So, and that was a me thing. And then also coming here, it was my own decision. But I'm not taking away from other people's story. There is that pressure for you to have to go for your second or even third degree. And so for me, it wasn't a pressure to. It wasn't a family pressure. Directly, right? More so, it was a life expectancy pressure. Like, what this was my life. I expect my life. What I expect to come out of my life, and all of that. Yeah.
Yeah. What about the culture your wife's from? Is there an educational pressure to like succeed and do education for your daughter?
I mean, a lot of it's like stereotypical, so I don't really want it. But a lot of Filipinos go into the medical profession here,
right?
But there's not, believe it or not, it's a weird situation where I see a lot of women, they're sort of out of the house, right? So, but the men are able to stay with the parents. So it depends. So my daughter's probably going to feel pressure to go ahead and leave and make your own tribe. That's what she says.
Yeah.
A lady should go and make their own tribe.
Wow.
But the sons stay back.
Sons stay back. So it's interesting.
Sort of weird.
Yeah, that's an interesting flip, kind of like where some it's like, no, the guys go out. Well, and my children's father is from Guyana, South America, and their push on education is a very strong, you need to be educated, right? There's a huge value. So it literally was like culture shock when my daughter said she wanted to be a fashion designer and do fashion because, one, she's Mensa, she's genius, she's bright, and then it's like, wait a minute, you're too smart to want to do fashion. And I'm like, but she'll excel. Here's a therapist in me, but she'll be fine. Like, we can do this. But it took a lot to really even convince her father that it's okay for her to pursue this. Now, mind you, grandfather back in Guyana was a seamstress, right? So that's what he did as a profession.
Yeah.
which is different because Grandpa could do that because he was the community, right, person that everybody came to and made a business out of it. But like your own child can't, because again, that education, it's not as value now to say, hey, you're going to use your hands in that skill versus using, I guess, your brain in a career. But anyway, I fought that. I fought that really hard because I really do believe also that children should follow what they're led to do because we only live this life once. So, again, she's got a great talent, great passion. But there was that cultural kind of education push. My son wants to be a chemist, so we're all good, right? we got a scientist and we got a fashion designer. Life is good, right? Talk to me, because I want to switch gears a little bit, mental health. Because I know for our international students coming here, we see in the Student Wellness Center, I'm not going to say like a spike, but I do see students coming in who often say, I was never able to talk about mental health. It was not something, my children's father would say, I could not work in their country because I wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
Like mental health is not valued. That's why things like domestic violence, emotional abuse, things like that, even how they relate in relationships is, a big concern when we talk about ACEs and trauma. But was mental health something that was ever kind of talked about in Nigeria? Was it something that people kind of open to? What's been your experience with mental health?
So I think in the last 6-7 years, that's a conversation that has begun to brew up, right? And I'm saying that, but I think part of the reasons is because now more than ever, we're able to see and hear other people's experiences, maybe because of what they share on social media and all of that. So maybe in times past, people would be like, that's a part of life. Why are you making noise about this and all that kind of thing? But then you could see how this person maybe deteriorates, and in some cases, it ends in suicide. And everybody starts saying, hey, why did he get to this point? And when you trace it back, there was something they were going through. There was something they were experiencing that they didn't feel okay to talk about. They felt maybe they were going to be judged and all of that. Maybe I'll steal this conversation a little. So that was like 2018. I had started paying attention to this, specifically among like my male folks, my friends, and all of that. So first I started I forgot the name we used to call it. There was a name we used to call it. Just a little meetup, a monthly meetup of about 15-20 guys. We just meet up together, talk about the month and all of those things. And then it sprung into an initiative, which I call the Ideal Man Initiative. So we used to create awareness and advocate for issues that directly impact the life of men and young boys. So I think in recent times, we've just had the conversation, the acknowledgement for the need for that conversation, and then those conversations are now beginning to happen in in certain spaces. Yes, in certain spaces, but I think a lot more can be done and should be done, more so from the point of view of one, it's very difficult for someone to be vulnerable enough to tell you their whatever their issue is. So I think first, being willing and open to be able to hear what other people are going through, right? I think it also gives you the opportunity to be able to share what you're going through. I know not everybody, not everyone who you tell your issues will be able to directly help you, right? But I think there's a saying that a problem shared is a problem half solved, right? Depending on who you tell the problem to, it could be the beginning of the real problem. But like that's being a person who creates a space for an individual to be able to share their experience with me and all of that. So yeah. What
about in the Philippines? I'm just curious. What's the mental health conversation like there?
I mean, I only visited there for like a week.
You're married. You're what?
But
I guess you're not a therapist, so maybe you guys don't talk about mental health.
No. I mean, everybody in the house. I try to encourage. No one wants to go. But from what I observed, which I'm gonna say this is I've only been there for a week, so it's not really quite fair to observe.
You're like, not a good assessment.
It's more of a, they probably do notice that there might be something off, but they're not. The help is within themselves. They're not. It's not something you're expected to sort of deal with it. On your own.
Yeah. And I think that, one of the challenges, even for my own kids, that's kind of the culture and the mindset, right? They don't believe in mental health. They don't believe in even my profession and what I do. And so I think that was always hard because to see, right, the kids struggle, but then like, no, we're not, fend for yourself. We're not going to get treatment. And I'm like, but this is what I do. But again, I think that also comes with, like you said, more information, knowledge. I love that you said even social media, because I agree there's some good things that come with social media because it's opened up, even especially post-COVID, this conversation about mental health, how it affects all of us, right? And what we can do. I want to switch for being a student on campus. And, Rutgers, we're a great school. I think we have a lot of programming, but we can always improve, right? Like, for example, the Student Wellness Advisory Board is a group of students telling us how can we get better in what we offer. As international students, what do you think Rutgers Camden can do maybe better for students or be more supportive? What ways can we maybe help our international students more?
On a general note, I think many times, two things. First, many students, I don't know if no one can connect this. On one hand, there is the concern, the financial concerns and all of that. I don't know if Rutgers Camden can directly, let's say, do anything to change that. I don't know, because I know there is always that there's always that thought of, is my scholarship going to be reduced? Blah blah. I know a couple of people who were like, oh my God, this semester their scholarship was reduced and all of that. My scholarship is going to be reduced. Will I still have will I still have my scholarship? Will I still do well? And they're just different things that are kind of like everyday stressors for international students. I'm trying to remember where I'm going with these thoughts. Yeah.
Well, you said there was two. One was the financial concerns, how we can be more supportive.
Yeah, so one would be financial concerns the international students have. I don't know if Rutgers Camden can do anything to increase this funding and scholarships for people.
You can just keep saying it. But listen, just put it out there, right? This is a safe space. We're trying to do our best. What we can do to help students. But I do think, and even as you said earlier, we don't actually realize, I think, the sacrifice that our international students make. And your story to say, I was in business, I was, working for myself, I had property. I mean, it's the story I hear every time I talk to international students, that we were established, and then we were pursuing education, but the sacrifice that comes. So if Rutgers could be like, hey, how can we help you a little bit more?
A little bit more on that side.
That's a fair request. I love it. Not that I can make any changes in life, but we'll keep the conversation going at least.
We can reopen the Rutgers pub.
Yeah, we can reopen the
Rutgers pub.
The Rutgers pub?
Yeah.
What's the Rutgers pub?
There was a Rutgers pub, I was told. I did told that there was a pub, and as they have in New Brunswick, they also had it in Camden as well.
Yeah, you can get it was like a bar.
Yeah.
Norman's like, I need to
I'm
thinking it stands for something. You're actually saying the bar.
Let's
I love it.
Yes, I think that could be done.
There we go.
Rutgers is a dull. I don't know.
We need a space to just let it go.
Yes. So I think that kind of connects to the second thing I was going to say, which is an environment where international students could meet more often. Yeah. I really loved the Chancellor's luncheon that was held 3 weeks ago. I think it was really, really good, bringing students together in the same, international students together in the same space. Because I know there are different nationalities here, and there are nationalities where you probably just have one person from that country. The people here don't look like you, don't sound like you, and all of those things. So that those individual stuffs on their own could be sort of like form of stressor, right? Trying to acclimatize to the environment and all of that. So I think those are two
Place
things.
to connect with
Place to connect with
hang
other.
out. Because
Yes.
I think the commuters over here, they're always like, they just stay here for a minute and then they would just go because there's nothing else to do. It's just right now. But one thing that we can do is if there's a pub, then we can just ask.
Hey, I'm with you. Hey, Rutgers pub.
All right, so the powers that be at Rutgers.
It's for Naman right now. It's like you're doing a research. And then you're saying this is the intervention that you must use. You have to use this intervention.
But again, even if it's a space, I'm all for a coffee space, right? Not Starbucks, but like a nice little, poetry ambiance kind of like, right, we can all gather. I would love that. And then again, even something, for example, that would celebrate different cultures, right? Just having that. I think there's talk about a multicultural center in space to be able to celebrate our differences here. Because, I think that the social connection piece is still huge, and it's even a bigger issue when we come from different backgrounds and even, like I say, even language. I know people who won't speak because they're afraid that people won't understand them or they're tired of repeating themselves. And the challenges that we just sometimes take for granted to say, even to become a student and to be into the Rutgers campus environment takes also extra steps, right? And we can do our part. Like y'all see me all the time at stuff. Like I try to, and part of that is because when I was an undergrad, I actually worked in our minority international student office. I've probably been to like 20 plus countries. Like I love, international culture. I really do. But I also see the need here on our campus to really embrace, because we're seeing 300-400 students, international students, which is a big chunk of our population here.
Can I add something else to what I said? So this is not so on an administrative level like Rutgers Camden, right? But I think one of the things that Rutgers Camden prides itself in is that among the different Rutgers campuses, this is the campus that welcomes the highest number of international students, first generation, and all of that. I think it will also be good that faculty members and staff connect themselves to the realities of the students, right? Connect themselves to the reality of the students beyond just, hey, this is what you're going to learn in class today. Here is your grade, and all of those things. Because I'll know, like,
you're hitting something, because even the idea of how you're educated in different countries versus how we do education here, the British systems, right, the different systems that we use in education, even from an academic perspective, I have a lot of students that say that's the biggest struggle. Like, they can get used to the food, they can get used to crazy roommates, but they're not used to the academic pressure with all these little assignments. They're used to maybe a big final exam and you just study as you go, and that kind of time management piece and writing papers is something that, I do hear from students. So maybe even like the academic faculty side to say, hey, this is what education has looked like if I'm a student from Nigeria, or, again, just thinking a student from a different learning system, and then how do we... I'm with you on that one. Yes. Listen, the therapist in me is like, and everyone should have education the way that it meets their needs. But anywho, because again, faculty for 20 years almost, I've been teaching at the college level as well. And that's one thing I do value too, is the experience of my students. And I've had students even say to me, hey, I'm not used to this. And I'm like, okay, well, let me help you. And this is what our syllabus looks like. This is how we guide the work. Touch base with me, because again, even that educational piece looks different for students who are used to a different educational system. So I want to talk about all the fun things, though, that are going on, and I'm probably going to miss some things because our printer was not working. All the technology today, I don't know what's going on. Our printer was not working, so I was trying to get the list that Dean Atkins has, but you can go to the International Student Office website here at Rutgers Camden. They have a wonderful schedule. Today, during free period, there will be global quiz, though, so this will be some fun activities, some trivia, some fun prizes. I think there's like even gift cards in the executive meeting room today. I'm hoping I'm going to say this right. There's a Bangara. Okay, good. I said it right. Bangara workshop, which sounds like dance.
Bhangra.
Bhangra.
Yeah.
Bhangra. There we go. Bhangra. I'm not, listen, I'm already excited. I'm like, oh. A dance workshop. I do not get to participate because I have a student today, but I would be there. That is also during free period today. Tomorrow, for those students who maybe don't have a passport, one of the things I did immediately, actually my first college boyfriend took me out of the country to Antigua, which was beautiful. But I travel a lot when I was young. Oh, that's a whole nother day, another conversation.
Where you get the money for that?
Well, he was from Antigua, so that worked out really great.
Oh,
so that worked out great. Anyway, another conversation for another day. But get your passport. It's important that you have a passport, that you're able to travel. I think one of the things that just helps us as people is that we experience other backgrounds, other cultures, other countries, other experiences. Like you said, even the food and traveling, like just the music. I love traveling. So please, that's happening tomorrow in the North Conference Room during free period. And then finding out about different scholarship. And here we go with funding opportunities. There will be 2 workshops on Thursday about the Bourne Awards and the Fulbright Scholarship Awards. So there will be funding opportunities. And then there is a International Thanksgiving and Talent Show on Wednesday evening from 4 to 6. So again, students, really great opportunities this week to connect. I think on Friday there is a
Masala Madness.
Yes, Masala Madness
Diwali,
and a Diwali. Yeah, listen, there are so many cool stuff. Like I'm just like, so next time, here's my only request. I need the schedule like 3 weeks earlier so that I can plan my life to be here during International Week, because it looks so fun and so amazing, and I'm just really excited. And I'm not even a student here. I'm excited about all the fun stuff going on. Dr. Shaw, I know we've been quiet today, but this is kind of how we planned it with a guest. Right?
No, I'm enjoying listening. I'm enjoying listening.
So I have a question as a parent, though. Because again, we share this in common of parenting children who will have cultural experiences even within our home because of who their parents are, right? Talk to me a little bit about what have you brought into maybe from your wife's culture into your home for your child. I know, I put him on the spot all the time. He loves it.
I mean, it's the language. I mean, my little one's learning the language.
And she travels there because she was.
She goes. No, yeah. Every summer, they have to go.
Oh, that's right. Because you have 2. I figured. I was talking a little bit. You have a son too. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is pretty much because all the food she pretty much takes after me. But I mean, as far as language is concerned and understanding, for a while, to be quite honest with you, only women that she saw was Filipino women, so she connects with them a lot. So that's there. But other than that, we pretty much, I guess we could say, I don't know. America has a culture, I'm assuming. So yeah, we're pretty much American.
We're pretty much American. Well, yes, my home was definitely for a long time very, very mixed culture. Even like the idea of Thanksgiving, right? So he wouldn't celebrate Thanksgiving. So Thanksgiving was like all on me because it's not their holiday, right? It's an American holiday. It's not, an international holiday in that sense. So it's just interesting things that you learn in the journey and again, in that process. So students, if you are on campus this week, I highly recommend that you get involved in all that the International Office is doing for our students. It is important. Also, again, you can go to engage.camden.rutgers.edu to hear all about the student wellness events, as well as the international student events, to get registered, participate, just show up. You don't even have to register. I know I say that all the time, but just walk in, go to something, get involved. We want to see you on this campus. As we close today, we'd definitely like to thank Ojabo for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Listen, he's my reason for being here, being on the radio once again. And if you are needing an appointment, we definitely encourage you. We have telehealth appointments, so you don't have to physically come to the Student Wellness Center. You can make your appointment online. You can see a provider, whether medical or mental health, through our online portal. You can visit wellnesscenter.camden.rutgers.edu to make an appointment, or you can give us a call at 856-225-6005. If you are experiencing a medical emergency, we ask that you please call 911. If you're having a mental health emergency, you can call or text 988. Next week, we actually will have our campus dietitian with us. We're talking about healthy meal plans for Thanksgiving and how to eat and balance your diet, as well well as Karen Kramer will be with us talking about ear health. So hopefully we'll have technology working as it should, but we had a plan B all wrapped up today. So it was great. And so campus, anything before we go, Dr. Shaw?
Be blessed and thank you. Thank you for coming, and be honest with you, thank you for putting this together.
Yeah.
This was probably your brainchild. So
Oh wow!
yeah, for real. Like
Best
you're
show
like
ever.
the father of this. So it's good to see
Thank
that you're on as a guest. That's pretty awesome, man.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
I'm not as organized as Ojabo, but that's okay. I'm working on it. All right, Scarlet Raptors, be well.
All right.
Great.
I'm all about the Rutgers pub. I didn't know that existed.
I'm like,
No,
That
I
never
mean,
existed in Newark.
that's what